Hi, do you have a pet at home? Who has a dog? Raise your hand. Ah, who has a cat? Raise your hand. Who has a guinea pig or a hamster or a rabbit? Oh, I was so blessed when I graduated from college. My gift from my mother was a golden retriever puppy. I was so excited I couldn't wait to have a golden retriever puppy. So I flew from Chattanooga out to Portland, Oregon, and picked up my golden retriever puppy. Named him Reggie. He was a great little puppy, and we just kind of instantly bonded. From Portland, we got on an airplane and had to go to California to see some people. So we put him in a boxed crate. He got on the airplane and we flew to California. When we got to California and we went through all the proper gates and I went to get Reggie from the pet area, he was so excited, just running around his cart. We got him out of the gate and he just jumped up in my arms and hugged me, even as a little puppy, right there. And I said, oh, we're going to be buddies for life, I think. So we went and got in our rental car so we could go see some friends in California. That was Reggie's about his first time in a car for a long period of time, and he wouldn't stay in the seat. He went and got under my feet on the driver's side, and he just stayed right there. Well, we drove to see some friends, and they liked Reggie too, and we had a great time. And we went back because it was time for me to continue to go to school up at a school called Andrews University in Berrien Springs, Michigan. I was there to go to the seminary, and some of my friends were there, and my good friend Andy and I, we got an old house that we rented so we could have a dog, and Reggie could live there and stay with us. And Reggie began to grow, as all animals do, and pretty soon he wasn't a puppy anymore. He was eating more, he was more active, and then he would take naps. But one thing old Reggie loved to do was to get in the water and swim. One Sabbath afternoon, we took a picnic with some friends and we were out by the lake, and I began to look around to see where Reggie was, and someone said, oh, there he is, he's out in the lake. And sure enough, there he was out in the lake, but he was pulling a log, a big tree limb log that was about 25 feet long. And he had grabbed it on the end and he was trying to bring that log all the way back into shore. And after about 20 minutes, he brought it all the way in, stood there and shook, and was so proud that he had brought that big tree limb all the way in to shore. Reggie loved people. Oh, he loved to be around kids too. After school, after graduation there from Andrews University, I went to pastor and be a youth pastor in North Carolina. And there I worked with the kids in the elementary school and at the academy and at the church, and we had a great time. And there was a place there in Hendersonville called Sliding Rock, where the water cascades down these slick rocks, and you end up in a big pool of water at the end. And people come down, they don't have to use inner tubes, they just sit on their backside, or some people on their back, and some even on their belly. Well, Reggie and I were at the top, and I thought for sure that Reggie would just go take the trail and come on down. And so I slid down Sliding Rock, and everybody started screaming and hollering because right behind me, here came Reggie on all four paws, sliding down Sliding Rock into the pool. And we did that till I thought we would just get exhausted. Reggie loved the water. But the story I want to emphasize today is one afternoon, Sabbath afternoon, up at Andrews University. It had been winter, cold, snow on the ground. Matter of fact, it snowed on Halloween night the year I was there, and I had a big old Cadillac car, and it buried that car, and I didn't see my car for 2 weeks. That's how much snow was on the ground. One Sabbath afternoon, I got a phone call and said, hey, let's go down to the Andrews University farm. Let's go to the barn. We hear that there's some newborn baby calves in the barn. And the barn will be warm, so we can go in the barn. I said, well, that'll be fun. And you think I can bring Reggie? Of course, he'll love it. So we got in the car. Actually, we got picked up by some friends in a pickup. Went down and began to walk around down to the farm. Oh, Reggie was having a good time. He would run and jump into the snow and disappear. Wouldn't see him. All of a sudden, a nose would stick up, snow would fly up, and he'd jump up. He was just having a great time, but it was cold. Let's get to the barn. And so we got down to the barn. One of the managers was there, and he said, yeah, come on in. It'll be fine. He says, but you better let the dog sit outside. Now, we'd been doing some training with Reggie, and he was really pretty obedient for a golden retriever. I said, Reggie, sit. Oh, he sat right by the door. And then those important words, stay. Well, he looked at me like, are you sure? There's a lot of good snow here. A lot of fun. You're going inside. Reggie, sit and stay. Oh, we went inside the barn, and sure enough, all those baby calves were so cute. You could put your finger out and they'd kind of nibble on your finger, and we could pet them, and it felt so good and so warm. Oh, I better check on Reggie. So I went out and opened the door, and sure enough, Reggie sat right there, and he stayed. Good boy, good dog, Reg. I went back inside, warmed up a little bit. About 10 minutes later, I came back out again. Reggie, good boy, sit and stay. Oh, he wagged his tail like, oh, this is what I do. I'm a good dog. You don't have to worry about me. I patted him on the head, went back in. Oh, about 10 more minutes, time to go out. Went back out. Oh, Reggie, where are you? No dog. He didn't sit. He didn't stay. Reggie! Looked around, couldn't see him. Reggie! And I saw the snow fly up, but he was a pretty good distance away. He was getting close to the river that ran by the farm. Now, you know what happens to water in the wintertime? When it's really cold, that water will freeze, even in a river. And as I looked down there, I said, Reggie, stop! Reggie stopped, looked at me, and I remember him turning and looking at the water. Reggie, stop! You see, I could see that there was ice on both sides of the river, and I didn't want him getting out in that ice. That ice could break. He'd get out into the water. That water's cold. We'd have a mess. Ah, Reggie heard my voice. He turned and looked at me, turned again, put his head down, and headed towards the river. Oh, boy. Hey, guys, I'm going down. Reggie's headed to the water. Well, they came out. My friends came out of the barn. We headed down to the river. Reggie, stop. Reggie, stop. This time he wasn't listening. He was not obeying. And then I watched as I got closer. Reggie headed out onto that ice. And when he first hit that ice, all four legs went out, down on his belly. Oh, he scrambled and scurried and got up, but he was looking out into where the middle of that river was flowing. He saw water. He loved water. Oh, I can go swimming in the water. And off he went. And as he got closer to the stream coming through the middle, the ice broke and gave way, and he went under. Up he came, shaking his head. Now, if you've ever seen a golden retriever swim, you know they're very strong swimmers. They're one of the few dogs that will actually swim with their entire head and sometimes a little bit of their shoulders out of the water. But Reggie had gone under, and up he came. Reggie, come on. Well, he turned around, knew he was in trouble. And as he turned around and his eyes focused on me, he put a paw up on the ice and the ice gave way and broke. He put another paw up and the ice gave way and broke. And he did this repeatedly and the ice continued to break and he would try to find a place to get up. Hang on, Reg, hang on. Now, my friends behind me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He's going to drown. He can't get up. The ice won't hold him. Oh, I'm going to have to go get him. Go get him. How can you go get him? And so I began to take off my clothes, my heavy winter jacket, my sweater, and I got down to my long johns. And I took a big stick with me. Hang on, Reg. And poor Reggie is beginning to go a little bit lower in the water. His nose is coming up a little bit more and hang on. And so I began to go out. And of course, when I took that first step, down through the ice I went. Oh, it's cold. Oh, wait, come up here. It looks thicker here. So I went up a little bit and my friend says, hold on. And they held on to me on the side and I began to inch my way out. And I could look down and see that the ice was cracking and moving under my feet. And I tried with that long stick. Reggie, hang on, maybe you can bite onto this stick. But I couldn't reach him. Then one of my friends had a brilliant idea. I think it was Andy. Andy said, you better lay down on that ice and spread your weight out. I said, really? Oh, man. Reggie, hang on. So I got down and spread out on that ice and began to inch my way out toward Reggie. And I watched as I got closer and his head began to go back and back and his nose began to point up. Hang on. And the paw would just barely come up and hang on, Reg. He couldn't bite the stick. And as I edged closer, the ice began to just crack underneath me. Dear Jesus, help me save Reggie. And some of the girls up on the bank were praying, help him, Jesus, help him. Don't let Reggie, help. As I got closer, Reggie's eyes and my eyes, we met. And I could see he just didn't have but a little bit of time. And as I got closer, I finally could reach out and touch him. And I said, hang on. And just right behind his head where that little bit of fur and a little bit of skin is, and I grabbed onto the back of his head. Hang on. And as soon as I grabbed him, Reggie said, oh, I must be safe. And he went limp. Well, Reggie went under the water. I went down under the water, halfway up. Up we came, spewing. And the girls are screaming back on the bench. And Andy says, bring him back, get back. And so we began to inch our way back with 65 pounds of wet golden retriever. Back on to ground. We were safe. We'd saved Reggie. And I guess Reggie still had a little energy left in him. I think he was just so happy, so relieved, so grateful that he'd gotten out of that cold river water. He began to run around. And he ran around in circles, the snow flying. Oh, I was frozen. Just, oh, so cold. Well, they brought my clothes over, and somebody had gone into the barn and gotten some blankets, and they brought blankets out, and they covered me up. And Reggie was, all of a sudden, oh, what? I turned around. Reggie's on his back. His paws are up in the air. What? Well, what had happened is that the snow and the ice and the cold water had frozen his pads together. and he couldn't walk on them. Oh my. So we picked up 65 pounds of wet, frozen golden retriever, and I placed him on my shoulder, and we began to walk back to the pickup truck that had bought us. Well, you might think the story ends there, but no. One more little side chapter. Unbeknownst to us, the little local barn terrier dog, black and white, had been observing all of this activity. And now, as we make our way toward the truck with this dog on my shoulder and his face in the back, the terrier, I guess, decided he had seen enough, because he came running out of the barn area, barking and hollering, and jumped up on my back to let me know and Reggie know that we were invading his territory. Oh, everybody's screaming, hollering, and shoot him away. We got Reggie back into the truck, drove the little bit way back home, and I'll tell you what, I got a warm shower. And when I went in to check on Reggie, he was asleep in his bed by my bed, and he slept all that afternoon, all that night until about noon on Sunday morning. Now, when did Reggie get into trouble? Oh, he got into trouble when he didn't obey his master's voice. Simple instructions, sit and stay. But he didn't obey his master's voice. And in the big picture, you and I have a master, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's our responsibility to listen, to have ears that hear, and then mind and heart to obey. Well, I want you to listen to God's voice. What is God saying to you? Is he asking you to do something? Is he preparing you for something bigger to happen? Is he asking you to be his witness? Is he asking you to take risks? Is he asking for your full attention and devotion? Is he asking that you trust him? Oh, I had Reggie's best interests at mind. I was trying to protect him from harm. But he chose to do his own thing. That can sometimes get us into trouble. So today, listen to God's voice. Hear, slow down, obey his commandments. And then, like Reggie, when Jesus rescues you and saves you, you can rest. Rest assured that he has your best interest at heart, that he wants to save you for his kingdom so that you can be reunited with him the way he originally intended it, to live forever in the earth made new. I want to be there. And I want to see you there too.